We thank you for this opportunity that we have tonight to come together and to work with each other and throughout the city on our all that's going on right now, Lord. We just pray that you'd help us to get through it and help us to be worthy of everything and gain some wisdom in doing it. We give you honor and praise for all you do for us. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.
Amen. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I wish to welcome you here to this meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen. We've had prayer led by Mr. Shaw. We've had the pledge. And now we're on item number 3, approve previous minutes, regular meeting, July 8th, 2021.
Mayor, are you going to go ahead and take the roll?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Let's roll call.
Ms. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Present.
Mr. Locke?
Here.
Mayor Arnold?
Thank you, Ms. Goldman. Okay, we'll go back to number 3 now. I guess I was looking for it on the agenda. I didn't see it. Okay. Approve previous minutes, regular meeting, July 8th.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comments as they relate to items on the agenda. Number 4.
Yes, Mayor, Board of Aldermen. Can you explain consideration?
Yes, sir. Wait just a minute. Would you please state your name,
Oh,
your
sorry.
address?
Ricky,
For the record.
Ricky Anderson, Bastrop Louisiana, 514 Camille Street. And I just want some explanation on number 5, consideration of action and report of committee appointed on the governing body.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what
I'm
you...
trying to figure out what is this all about? What's the governing body that you're trying to consideration on action taken?
Consideration of what, Mr. Anderson?
It said right here, consideration of an action of reports on committee.
For number 5.
Oh, okay, on number 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, those are committee reports for council members and different, we have various committees set up on the street, the crime, the cleanup.
This is something totally different, new, am I correct?
This is something that we're doing in this administration to address the request of the public.
Oh, this is what I'm asking, this is something.
Yes,
totally-
sir.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
And
Thank you.
Okay, and number 10, 10D?
10B? Okay. That's where you are.
Yes, right here, 10D.
Yes,
In
sir.
reference to that, I hope tonight that each of you have made your decision and studied this individual and given high standards. When the mayor makes this appointment, you 5 councilmen are supporting this appointment. And I hope that we're doing the right thing tonight with this appointment, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Floyd, do we have the change out covers for the microphone for sanitation purposes?
They were sold out.
They were sold out. Can we improvise with something? Because it makes it very difficult to understand what the speaker is saying. Okay, item number 6. Number 5, I'm sorry. Consideration of and action on reports of committees appointed of the governing body. Mr. Chris Patrick, well first, Mr. Shaw,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
were on the street committee,
That's correct.
and Mr. Locke joined you along with Public Works Director.
That's correct.
And if you would like to just do a briefing,
Oh.
and Mr. Patrick will come and do the definition of.
Well, we have Chad back there with Denman Engineering and Chris Patrick right there with them. And before they come and give us a quick overview, I'm going to just add a couple things. One is, we have divided up, and each of us, of all the 5 districts, excuse me, we have come together with that, with the consideration that we try to cover the whole city. But we know we can't do it all at one time, so we want to try to take it in pieces, make sure that each district is represented, where you can get your priority, and if you can't get it, call your council person and let them do that. So that, with that, we'll let Chris and Chad give us an upview from their viewpoint.
Okay. Chris, while you're preparing, Mr. Smith, would this be the appropriate time to tell the change in acquisition of the company? So,
You can, he can address it once he finishes his report.
okay.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Hold on one second. You can lower your mask.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Chad has brought some maps with us to show the streets that I have highlighted in this, and I also have some cost estimates. I'd like to pass these out to you, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Here, you want to give these out? I'll give you a second to study that. What this represents is the priority 1 and priority 2 for each district. As we met the other day, we set these priorities. Okay, so Chad and I went back to the office and we put together the costs for the fixing of the roads and the fixing of the sewer underneath the roads. Okay, so if you look out to the right-hand column, you'll see phase 2 roads and phase 2 sewer. And then on the cost column under priority 1, that gives you the total cost of the project for the street and for the sewer. Okay? Those maps just reflect these priorities. They're in different colors. One is priority 1 and one is priority 2. But just to summarize, for all the priority 1 streets that we talked about in the meeting we had with the city, is a total of approximately $2 million. That's for the street repair and for the sewer repair. We always recommend you fix the sewer under the street before you spend your money fixing the street, because you don't have to come back later and dig up a brand new street, okay? On down below that is priority 2. That's the number 2 streets that we went through, and that totals to be $1.2 million. I know Ms. Sandra had said that you have a certain amount of dollars to spend, and we tried to tailor this to fall within that budget, but in order to get all the streets in priority 1, we had to come up with about $2 million, to achieve the goal that we wanted to achieve for priority 1. So with that, I'll let you study it, and if you have any questions, we'll try our best to answer that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. We did look at all the streets and Public Works, along with Mr. Wilhite, along with Terry people, also had their input because they are out on the streets every day and they know where the potholes are. So we are trying to address every district as Mr. Patrick indicated. Are there any questions by this council? Okay, Mr. Patrick, if you'll speak to it, as I indicated, Mr. Peoples and Mr. Wilhite and also Mr. Locke sat in as we talked about the streets in the greatest of needs right now. So they were prioritized according to, as Mr. Patrick said, if there's sewer underneath, it will be a waste of public funds to go and overlay and have to tear it up again. So there are a lot of moving parts that drive this decision, not just the potholes, but what's underneath. Is there anything else you wanted to add from your expert opinion, Mr. Patrick?
I would like to point out that for the sewer portion of this, if you decided to use some of your rescue money, your ARP money, which can be used for water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, you could do a separate project for the sewer, okay, with those funds, which are grant funds, and then save your street money to work on the street. That's just something I wanted to throw out for your consideration.
Yeah,
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Excuse me, Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Shaw.
Did I miss somebody? But anyway, we can have you substitute one if you found in our review that there was a different street. We need to get that back, to your council person and also where they can go through us and get to Chad and Chris. So keep that in mind. We just want to make something happen. It's prime time to put asphalt right now, so we
Right.
need to take advantage.
Yes, these can be rearranged in any order that the council sees fit.
So,
Okay.
excuse me, so if we use our money from the ARP to do the sewer, will we be able to do more streets with the money we have for the streets?
Yes, you would.
It's good.
The one thing to point out is on that rescue monies, it has to be bid out under federal procurement laws, federal wage rates and all that. So the cost may be a little bit higher once we take bids on that. But yes, you can take your ARP money, do the sewer with it, and they do streets with your money.
I like that. Okay, that's a good deal.
Okay, Mr. Locke, you co-chaired along with Mr. Shaw. Is there anything you'd like to add?
The streets that we have, those streets came from us. We prioritized our streets several months ago. So those are where we got those streets from.
Right.
So can we each councilman have input in which street we would like to get done in our district? Is that possible?
I don't know why. I mean, if you want to substitute them for the other, then that, since we hadn't started construction yet.
Hold on, it's a possibility that we might be able to do more streets, so I can add a street, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Possibly, yes, sir.
Possible.
extra money with what you said.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I think that's quite fitting what you asked. As Mr. Patrick goes along and what he sees, then there may be some changes. We may have to allow for standard deviation. But also, we get a lot of calls on a daily basis from all of your 5 districts. And they indicate to us where the potholes are and what really needs fixing and who had a tire rim to get torn up. And of course, we know that that's been a problem in terms of our risk management. So thank you for bringing that to the surface, Mr. Green. Are there any more questions? Okay. Mr. Patrick, if you will talk about the change in Denman Engineering.
Yes, ma'am. For about the last 8 months, we've been approached by a nationwide engineering firm to buy us out and to merge with them. And we've decided to do that. As of this past Monday, we have merged with a company called Volkert Incorporated. Volkert has offices in 26 states across the country. They have over 1,300 employees, and they offer a wide variety of resources that we were not able to offer until now. So just to let you know, you'll still be dealing with our office, you'll still be dealing with us. You won't see any change other than the fact of the letterhead and the paperwork. But you'll still be calling myself or Chad or anybody in our office that you're used to dealing with. But now we have resources across the country that we can offer our clients that we didn't have before.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, you want to speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, members, the only thing that will probably need to be done is doing a simple addendum to the current contract, just reflect that change in status and to show that Denman is a successor to the new entity. And the same contractual relationship will still exist. It's just, we'll just update the current contract with that addendum.
Okay, and you will work on that. I noticed, I got an email from you in regards to that.
And we'll probably put that on the next month's agenda along with the resolution. Giving the
Okay.
mayor the authority to sign that addendum.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Are you going to remain with us for a while, or did you need to leave?
No, ma'am, if you need me to, I can stay.
Okay, while you're here, and I don't mean to take things out of order, but under announcement, I have about the $400,000 grant that's becoming available for parks, and there are specifics to that. I spoke with Mr. Waxman. Mr. Prater, you had a question about additional parks. Of course, every grant comes with stipulations, and we will need your assistance when it comes down to that application because it's very detailed.
Absolutely.
It is a grant that is very competitive, but is worth up to $400,000 for our area. So we really want to get all the points. They have a point system. So we want to maximize the points that would help us accelerate our application to be considered.
Correct. And I've started reading up on that. There are some regulations and some restrictions for the money.
Right.
You can use it for this, but you not necessarily can use it for that. So there are some things that we'll have to talk about as to what it would qualify for.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
so much.
All right, you need
You
me
want to
to...
introduce you? Mr. Fisher, did he want to say something?
No, ma'am. I've lived in this town for 40 years, and I will be taking care of most of the stuff here in the town with Chris. So we're not going anywhere, but glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you both for coming. Okay, item number 6, reports of city officials or employees required by law or by action of the governing body. A, Finance Committee Report, Resolution 21, 1963, bills and claims for the month of July 2021.
I'll take that one, Mayor.
Okay,
Okay, I'll do it,
go ahead.
since I'm on the committee.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have reviewed the Finance Committee's report and for bills and claims for the month of July 2021. With that, I would make a motion that we accept the bills and claims for the month of July.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I second.
We have, it's been properly moved in second. Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. D, 6B, Revenue and Expense Report, June 2021.
Mayor, there's no action, that's just the expenses and the revenue for the month of June. No action taken.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Goldman. Okay, at this time, I believe it would be appropriate that we bring other department folks to bring us up to date. I want to compliment, where's Chief? Our fire chief. Timmy Williams, our fire prevention chief, cleaned the 4 gateway signs. And I really want to say thank you. And if you see any of the firemen, please, or fire staff members, please say thank you to them. They had the means of using the water to hose it down. So if you drive around and you see those 4 signs, go ahead, Mr. Chief Crowder.
Well, Mayor, you came to us, or Mr. Wilhite did with a need, and we were happy to help you guys out. My guys joined in like we told you that we were going to be doing from here on out. Any project, we're going to do our best to help the city of Bastrop. So we went out and cleaned those things, and from the pictures I saw, because it was very hot out there and I didn't go out there with them.
Tell me about it.
From the pictures I saw, they look great. So
They
that's
do.
what I wanted to say.
Okay. You might add, you don't have to put it in the record, I promise to take them all to dinner that were out in that hot sun.
Well, I will be on that.
Okay. Thank you, and please thank the staff members. Okay, Mr. Wilhite.
Mayor, Council, just to get an update on what we got going on in Public Works. First of all, I want to thank all the Public Works employees for a tremendous job that they've been doing, being understaffed. We're in the progress of remodeling the street buildings and the city garage with new floors, new restrooms, and we done organized the inside and outside of the city garage. And we done did inventory, so we got an auction scheduled for September. And I've been in contact with the contractor for the MLK Bridge. It's been delayed. His completion date is supposed to be either the end of September or the beginning of October. And we and dealing with the Chuck Wilson Smith walking trail. We have sent the notice to proceed to the contractor, but we have no construction date yet.
Okay. And also, if you see any of the Public Works folks, please thank them. It has been extremely hot They've worked extremely hard. I was down at the garage yesterday and thought I was gonna faint, but we got through it. We did get a new dump truck, and that dump truck was applied for under the Jones administration. And the grant was awarded under the Cotton administration, and the truck was delivered under the Olive administration. So sometimes that tells us how long it takes to get a project completed, so we just don't need to lose hope or faith that good things are on the horizon for our city. The roof on the city hall, I met with the governor, and then I met with Senator Katrina Jackson. I had hoped that she could be here, and I made a plea to her how terrible the roof is. And we did receive the capital outlay money, or we're going to get the money. We've gotten word that we will be funded for $380,000 to get a roof. Mr. Wilhite, if you will, you might want to come back and speak to the unit, the air conditioner system upstairs, and we were very concerned about the leaking and the tile that was falling in, so.
Yes, Mayor, we have mold and we have tiles falling in. So we got in contact with Blaylock, he's there out of Ravel, and he's gonna give us an estimate on tomorrow of how much it would cost to redo all the leakage that's coming from the air conditioner.
Excuse me. What's going on with the air conditioner?
He said it's just come from, it's old, it's just real old, and you know, when it started, they should have said something and didn't. It's just worn out.
And some of the leaking we found was not, all of it was not coming from the roof. Some of it was coming from the drain lines, chillers, or whatever they're called. And we're working on that. Okay. Code enforcement. Mr. Bubba McDuffie.
Afternoon. We've got tons and tons of things that's coming in, and then we're behind and everything, so like I say, it's just a matter of time, and it's a big process to get everything done, but we're coming to your areas. I mean, it's just gonna be a long, drawn-out stuff. We were lucky to get to one across from Popeyes. We got the tree down and the house is down, so it's a process, and we're working on it.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDuffie. He has been working extremely hard as well. And I think as evident by that huge tree, I've been asking him what did he do, and he would not tell his trade secret. I don't know if there's anybody else in the audience that's applying for his job, but thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And let me introduce Mark Moore. Mark, if you will stand up. Mark is our community outreach, and I won't put you on the spot for coming to the microphone. Is that a thank you, that thumbs up? Yes, ma'am. But Mark has been out in the community. He's connected with the Children's Coalition, and we also address the needs of the public, and we are able to expedite some of those needs a lot faster rather than having folks wait and simmer in their anger. And we also have a public affairs coordinator. Is he here? Okay, he went to another meeting. So we are able to be represented in multiple places at multiple times. We're able to dispatch calls to different people, and also Mark has taken on, I didn't mean to do a bait and switch, but he's taken on Main Street. So we are reviving the Main Street program in addition to his other duties. And thank you very much for the work that you're doing.
Can we have access to all these new positions that we don't know anything about and what they do?
Okay, and that's why I'm introducing them. That is an administrative decision that's made by the appointing authority to execute the will of the people as they address their concerns. Item number 7, ordinance and resolution introduced at previous meeting. What do we have there, Ms. Goldman?
We don't have anything there.
Okay. Item number 8, other unfinished business. A, discussion, action, people of Bastrop LLC franchise fee Ricky Smith, and Jeff McNew. Who wants to go first? Oh, you here in Mr. Nelson? Okay.
Now, if I go,
Would you like to go first?
yeah, by the time you get up here, I'll be finished. Members, again, I was able to speak to most of you over the weekend. I spoke to much more today. The only thing that's left for, to finish with the franchise agreement is to come up with the actual fee and the term. Originally, the water company requested a 30-year term, but I informed them that the charter prevents any term that exceeds 25 years. So today, just want to get some consensus from the board on where you are with setting a fee and a term. That's the only thing that's left, because once y'all give me a directive on that, I can finish the agreement and we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay, Mr. Nelson, do you want to speak to that? And I did task Mr. Smith to contact each of you to get your thoughts before we brought this out in the public domain. So go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we're back trying to get a franchise. We've been trying for a while. We started under, before
Arthur.
Mr. Cotton.
Arthur Jones.
So it's been a while, but we're hoping under the Olive administration it comes to fruition. Well, we've been here quite a few times. I know that they asked for 30, and that's not doable, but I know they got 30-year bonds, and they're looking to tie it as long as they can for their bond investors. We have the franchise, and I don't want to skip, but we also have the other item further down there, and I'm hoping that the attorneys will work it out. And I apologize for Mr. McNew. He flew in from Florida last time, but today he had to be in Baton Rouge, so he couldn't be here.
Yes, sir. Okay, Mr. Smith, where are we in terms of moving forward, or is this council in a position to negotiate a franchise fee? I understand what you're saying, Mr. Nelson, in terms of you have a debt
Right.
that has to be amortized.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think where it comes in is coming to some type of mutual consensus. It has been a trend that municipalities have not gone with long-term franchise agreements. So I think the next order of business, there are two things as I see it, and correct me, Mr. Smith, is coming up with a fee.
The actual fee and the maximum amount is 5%. Currently, the prior franchise agreement, the fee was set at 2% and the term was 15 years. So today, this item is for discussion, just to give me some input on where the council is on setting the fee and the term, so I can then go talk to their attorney and get a consensus on what the actual full-fledged franchise agreement would have in it, and I'll bring that to the board again in the September's meeting.
Do you have some preliminary numbers at 2%, 3%, 4%, and you said the maximum is 5%? Do you have any numbers that you're ready to disclose, or that you're comfortable with, Mr. Nelson?
Roughly, I can tell you, and this is just from my memory, I can't guarantee it, but I believe the city brings in about $35,000 a year on the 2%. So you just have to interpolate from there if you wanted to go up.
Man, I would like to say that we need to probably keep that rate at 2%.
Excuse me?
It needs to stay at 2% because if not, then that rate is going to be passed on to our citizens. So.
Thank you for that insight, Mr. Law. Any other?
Mayor, the 2% that is on there now is a line item on the bill, and the commission requires that whatever the franchise fee be a line item on the bill, so it's not, and we could go up to 5 according to them, but no.
Okay.
So once we do an agreement, can they sell it anytime? Can you guys sell it anytime to someone else?
Yes, you can sell it to anybody. That's an attorney question. I don't know, Mr. Green. I don't know that.
Mayor, the revenue and expense for this fiscal year, we collected $37,377.27. It's a line item in our budget.
Okay.
That was the 2%.
Yes, ma'am.
I was in the ballpark.
Okay. Any other discussions or questions in regards to franchise fee?
I'm in agreement with Mr. Locke. I don't think the consumer needs more financial burden.
So, Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Locke suggested, and along with Mr. Moore, that 2% should be the rate. Any other councilman want to weigh in on that? Are y'all in agreement, or 2%?
What about the years?
All right, I'll get to that. I don't think, Mr. Locke, did you suggest any, the term? I know you just said the percentage.
Oh, yeah. The years,
Not 25, not
not
30 for me.
25.
And we gotta have something reasonable, you
Because the
know.
last time, if I'm not mistaken, they sold, and we had to hear from the community, well, I had to.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
something that's gonna be reasonable. I think you said something like 12 years. That's just something
That
to go
sound
back to negotiate with, right?
Yes, sir. I'll try to get some type of
would say
parameters to do that.
12 years.
Mr. Locke suggests 12. Ms. Moore, you have
I say 15.
15. You, Mr. Prater?
I said 15.
That's fine, that's fine.
Ms. Shaw?
Okay.
I had 15, I think is what I said, but I came back and negotiated it to 12.
Okay.
In my mind, anyway.
So, if I may make one other comment. So, for the term, the council is in a range of 12 to 15
Yes.
is what you're giving me directive to negotiate with?
Right.
Okay. Again, this is just a discussion. Once I, draft the resolution and put the agreement before the council, you have the prerogative to amend it to whatever, you decide. So what comes to you in September, just know you can change it.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Were there any other comments? Okay.
Can we
Thank you,
sit down
Mr.
or hang around till you do the
I
other part?
think you're released from your misery.
Okay, well, I got another thing coming up, that's why I was.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Item B, discussion, lease of 794 Collier Lane for Delta Community College. I did get a letter, and I do see a representative from Delta Community College here. So, do you want to speak on behalf of Chancellor Esters? He sent me a letter, and because of the pandemic, some dates have been pushed back. So if you would speak to that, to this Board of Alderpersons.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Antonio Hearn. I'm the interim campus director for Louisiana Delta Community College here in Bastrop. We are still planning on setting up the simulated hospital. As you all know, we are in the throes of school starting back again. And also prior to my time here at Louisiana Delta Community College, we transitioned from our Camille Street campus only to the airport extension. So we do need the space. We are looking forward to going into the negotiation process. I do know that Chancellor Esters will rely on the LCTCS, which is our parent body, in those negotiations with those facility staff, but we are just anxious to get up and running. He has set a tentative start date goal for us to be January of 2022. And that is for that simulated hospital training facility.
22. Okay, any questions by council members? No questions? Okay.
So is it a lease already put in place? Or are we getting it together?
No,
No lease has been put in place. We're still in the negotiation phase. In fact,
Okay,
they're going to
okay.
work out we will come to a consensus on monthly lease payments as well as liability and other things associated with the use of that facility.
So when they come back before us, we'll have a lease tied to the agenda?
Will that be the date has been pushed back to January, so what would be your drop dead date to get to us? Because I know you have to answer to other entities.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Okay. So, Mr. Smith, you want to weigh in on that?
No, I'll reach out. I haven't seen any parameters of any lease, so I'll reach out to them next week and start that.
Okay.
And then whatever I have, I'll bring to the council, bring to the mayor, and then bring to the council.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. Okay, and item number 9, introduction of and permitted action on proposed ordinances and resolutions. A, discussion action, Peoples of Bastrop LLC collection of sewer use fee will be discussed in other new businesses. Say it again, Ms. Goldman.
We had it in there twice with the new figures.
Okay.
People go ahead and do it now.
Okay. Mr. Nelson, you want to speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. I think the attorney is working with the city attorney on coming up with a new contract. The old contract was drafted under Mayor Hawkins, and at that time, I believe the city did their own billing, and that was kind of a fiasco. We had the city had to have 2.5, 3 people to get it done. So anyway, there's lots of archaic language in there about the city sending somebody over to go out with the water people to do the disconnects and all that. And so it kind of needs to be totally rewritten, and I think the 2 attorneys are in contact, I believe.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, we have done exactly that. When I met with them a couple of weeks ago, we took out all the language that is not pertinent to what we're doing now, what the city is doing now, and what they're doing now. So that agreement is done, and together the water company just expressed the interest not to separate the two, just bring them both together and have the council consider them at the same time. So that's why it wasn't on the agenda on this meeting.
Okay.
But it is done.
Council members, do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Nelson. Item B, Resolution 21-1964, a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Alderpersons of the City of Bastrop, Louisiana, City to authorize the city to enter into an intergovernmental agency agreement with Fire Protection District Number 2. Chief Crowder and Ms. Goldman. Chief Crowder?
Ladies first.
And we've been in contract with them for, I don't know how many years, probably over 20.
At least, I think it's, 20.
Anyway, we provide the employees, they pay for the 2 fire stations, the one on the Oman Road and one on the Bonita Road. They've, it's been several years that they agreed to pay us $800,000 every year. But they actually pay 100% of the cost of those firemen that man those stations. So there is some quarters that, would go over the 250. They pay the actual cost of those overtime and everything. So they wanted to keep the terms the same. It's worked. We have a good relationship with them, and they are good partners with the city of Bastrop. I'll remind y'all that whenever we did the training tower, they bought the tower, and I don't remember how much it cost, but
I think it was like 60,000, right at 60,000.
they paid 100% of that. And of course, we get the benefit of it because we train our people there too.
Yeah.
So they're asking you to consider just renew the contract.
Okay.
And basically, I'm going to reiterate what Ms. Sandra said. I'm asking, I wrote this down.
Go ahead.
I'm asking my esteemed mayor and city council to vote yes to renew this contract with Fire District 2. And because they really are a good partnership with us, working with their adversary, Bubba Boyd. He comes in and he speaks with us. We tell him what we want, what we need him to help us with, and he jumps right into it and helps us. Like I say, Ms. Sandra spoke on the training ground. That's just a part of it. Fire trucks, they just received two new fire trucks for those districts. So we're bringing up our fire department, keeping up with the building great department. So they're part of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And it has been a long-term reciprocal relationship where the city has benefited as well as Fire District Number 2. So at this time, I will entertain a motion.
I make that
to
motion.
Okay, sounds like it was several motions. Ms. Goldman, you pick up on the voice?
I know it was Mr. Locke and Mr. Green.
Okay.
Either way.
We have a second? Do we have a
Second.
second by Mr. Shaw? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, that brings us down to a resolution, number C, Resolution 21-1965, a resolution commending John Anthony Evans upon retirement as Chief of the Bastrop Police Department. Provisional Chief Carl Gibbons, would you like to speak to that? And Ms. Goldman, we have a resolution? We have. Would you like to speak to,
Good evening, everyone. I did speak with Chief Evans. He was not able to make it tonight, but he did send his thanks and his gratitude for this honor. The whole department knows just what kind of chief he was and man he was. Just outstanding, and was a pleasure to work with and to work for. And he did send his thanks to you all for this honor.
thank you, sir. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt it.
Properly moved by Ms. Moore and second by, I believe, Mr. Green.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, before you move on.
Yes, sir.
To other items of new business, I need to, I guess, remind you guys about item 8B, the discussion with respect to the lease of 794 Collier Lane for Delta Community College.
Yes, sir.
I think some of the discussion earlier was that upon coming to terms, it would be brought back to the council, but the council approved you at the last meeting to engage into the negotiations and to structure a lease on behalf of the city of Bastrop. So it's not an action that would probably come back to the council. That's your authority to engage into the lease agreement with the Delta Community College. So it's not a matter that's going to come back. I don't want everybody to think it's coming back. You've already given the mayor authority to take care of it.
Thank you for that observation.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pierre. Will you see to it that either by mail or hand delivered the resolution? Okay, item that brings us to number 10, correct, Ms. Goldman? Other new business. Discussion, action, People of Bastrop LLC collection of new sewer fees.
We did.
We did that. I was about to say, where's Mr. Nelson? You're really popular here tonight.
He's back there in that corner.
Oh, I have to ask for your autograph after we leave. Okay, item B, Mr. Ricky Allen Anderson, Bastrop Civil Service Board complaint against 2 Bastrop police officers.
Good evening once again, Mayor, Board of Aldermen.
Good
Good evening.
I have handouts I think I placed on the agenda to pass out to the board and to the mayor. I may begin. I will be brief and directed to the point. The package you have before you will guide you through my presentation directly to the Bastrop Civil Service Board. Mayor, Alderperson, there's a matter of concern about a number of members appointed to the Bastrop Civil Service Board and the departure of an officer of the Civil Service Board and the appointment of a vice chair to the Bastrop Civil Service Board on July 15th. Mayor, Alderperson, I'm not going to go through this package. I want you to take it under consideration and read it for yourself. This package is placed in order as it is from front to end. And I hope that somewhere down the line in the future, that this never happen again to a citizen of Bastrop, Louisiana. I'm not going to point fingers, like I say. It speaks for itself. Mayor, thank you for allowing me to speak. Alderperson, thank you for allowing me to speak as well. I just want you to be aware of what's going on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Item number C, Robert McGee, sale of 60 acres of property on the Marouge Road. Is Mr. McGee here? Okay, this, and I'm just going to do a little preliminary. This is known as the landfill. And there's approximately, is it 113 acres, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
113 acres. This is just land that we are not using. And Mr. McGee expressed an interest in acquiring this property, and it's of use to him, but under the condition that it's contiguous to some other property that you are in process of acquiring, and he has a 55-day window to which one deal hinges on the other. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I'll let you speak to it, and then I'll let our attorney speak to that as well. And state your name, please.
Okay, this is Robert McGee, 9044 Oak Ridge Road, Marouge, Louisiana. Some property came up next to the city's property that I was interested in buying, but when I started looking at it, I realized that it would be a better fit if I had the city's property as well. So I entered into a preliminary contract with the adjacent landowner contingent upon this sale, and I have to close by September the 30th. Along with closing, I'll have to survey, run title, everything else. So I made an offer to the city, and no contingencies, no appraisals on my behalf, no financing, just as long as the two properties close at the same time.
Mr. Smith, you want to speak to that? Well, let me say something. It's 60 acres. It's a total of 113 acres available. 60 acres that you want. The landfill is still there. So the conversation has included keeping the landfill part if in case there's a natural disaster that we would have to use that again. So go ahead.
Again, I was just advise the city that before you do anything, that property needs to be appraised and surveyed. So if it is sold, a new legal description would have to be done. And just to advise that the purchaser that there's no access to a public road, so it's essentially the portion that he wants to purchase, it doesn't have access to a public road. But other than that, those are the only considerations I think the city needs to take part in before considering to do anything.
Okay. Were there any complications with the property not having access or need to a public road, or you were going to take care of that, Mr. McGee?
I can take care of that.
You can take care of that.
That was just for the buyer to be aware of when purchasing the property. But the city had no concern if the city decides to sell it and he doesn't have access to a public road. That's his problem.
Okay. Okay. We're waiting for an appraisal on it, Mr. McGee. And anything else we need to do tonight, Mr. Smith?
No, ma'am.
Nothing else. So this was for your purpose to let you know that there is an interest in this property that is out in the wooded area. So we'll contact you, or you will be in touch with Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith and myself.
Okay, thank y'all for the consideration.
Yes, sir. Okay, item number D, appoint chief of police. I'm going to speak to this and speak to this from several points of view. First and foremost, the oath of office that I hold It's what's my guiding force daily. It's a sacred oath. Faithfully and impartially carry out the duties of the Constitution, the state, the city charter. This appointment is a civil service position and subject to civil service guidelines and carries a very, very important role in this community. According to civil service law, there were 4 remaining applicants who passed the test. And according to the state examiner, you have to choose, you have to look at that list. So I'm going to allow both attorneys to weigh in on this. I spent a lot of time. It has been very labor intensive, looking at the charter. The city charter is subject to the civil service laws, the Constitution, and the state. Mr. Pierre, would you like to speak to that? I've been in lockstep with both attorneys as well as the chief examiner.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to make a request of you all. Since this is truly a personnel matter, I would ask that you all, someone make a motion and get a 2/3 vote and go into executive session to discuss this matter. Then we can come out and make your motion and go forward from that position.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Now, before, does it carry? Now,
Motion carries.
Before you go into executive session, Mr. The chief is here. I don't know if they gave him a 24-hour notice, but he's going to have to waive the notice because in order to go into executive session to discuss him, he has to be notified within 24 hours. He can waive that notice if he so desires, then we can go into session.
I do wait.
You do waive?
We need to back up first. You need to amend the agenda first to add the executive session.
Okay.
And then go into executive session.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, the motion is to amend the
We
agenda.
amend the agenda to go into executive session on a personnel matter. Let's make sure the wording is clear.
So that'll be 10BD1 is the amended to go into executive session. And then it'll be 10D2, appoint chief of police. So that's the motion on the floor.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Right.
All in favor?
Did someone
Any
make the motion?
opposed?
They did.
Yeah, Ms. Angela made the motion, I second the motion.
Okay. We alter the words of did the maker of the motion need to restate?
No.
Clarity.
They know, as long as they know what they're voting on, it just need to be a unanimous vote.
Okay.
And then you move to, go into executive session.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, we will recess and reconvene after executive session.
You need a motion to go into executive session now that the agenda has been amended.
I need a motion to go into.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Goldman. Okay, we're on item 10D.
2.
No, wait a minute. Chief?
You remember the,
Excuse me?
remember we, council amended the agenda. We got item 10D1, which was executive session. Now we're at 10D2.
Okay.
The point.
Okay, 10D, I got you. Okay, 10D2, appoint chief of police. It is my recommendation to appoint Carl Gibbons as chief of police, moving him from the provisional status to a probationary period, which is no less than 6 months, no more than 12 as a working test period. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I make that motion, Mayor.
Properly moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstentions.
Any abstain?
I abstain.
I abstain.
Mr. Shaw?
I think he already said aye.
What was your vote?
Do what?
What's your vote?
He said aye.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's it?
Mr. Green?
I make the motion.
No, what is your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Locke?
No.
Okay. The configuration, we have 2 that abstained.
Yeah, if I may, Mayor, you have 2 for and 1 against. So
Okay.
the appointment fails. About 2 to 1 vote. You needed 3.
Excuse me?
You needed 3 votes, the majority of the council. There was 2 affirmatives and 1 nay, and 2 abstentions. Abstentions are not counted, so the vote is 2 to 1.
2 to 1, so where does that place us?
I think it's 2 abstentions.
The abstentions are not counted,
No, ma'am.
so the motion carries?
Motion fails.
The motion failed? I think,
Abstain.
are we clear on what was just voted on? Are we clear on what was just voted on, council? 2 abstentions, 2 yes, and 1 no? Okay. Mr. Gibbons will remain provisional chief until such a time we reconvene. Number 11, announcements, recognition of family loss for the city employees. We did a moment of silence at the beginning, but at this time, I'd like to ask that we stand appropriately.
I think you missed E.
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion action bids for energy efficient lighting for the Dotson Smith Wilson on Martin Luther King and Carter Parks. Ms. Goldman?
Ma'am, this is a grant that was applied to the Louisiana Commissioner, Public Commissioner. I think the grant was like $248,000. We got 2 bids. One of them was from Y Electric. They were the low bid, and their bid was $183,457.84. We would y'all consider granting this. It's 100%, we have no match of this. And what it is, it's the lights that would be shining outside. They're doing energy efficient, and there's a report that we have to do in a year. And it's show that we are saving on our electricity and still having good lighting for those 3 parks. This was applied under Mayor Cotton. We got the word that we received it, I think late June, and then we took out the bids. And so they were approved by the state, the bids, pending y'all's recommendation on the action tonight. Then we can contact them and let them start working.
Do you need a motion, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Properly moved.
Can I ask a question? Will all the other parks be included, Ms. Sanders? Or just the ones in question?
These are the parks that they applied. It was Dotson, Smith, Wilson, Martin Luther King, and Carter. Those are our biggest parks.
Okay.
Altogether, I think we have 13 parks in the city. So these met the criteria, and this is where we really needed the savings and the lights, because they have those big old lights and they really like electricity.
Second.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I did, motion. Mr. Howard was the second.
Okay, properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, let me also, I started on recognition of family losses, and I think we'll end that. Mr. Mayo, you're here from M5 and under announcements. Would you come and talk about the priority list we've been talking about, just briefly, since you're here from Monroe?
Thank you very much, Mayor Allen. Good evening to you and also to the council members. First of all, I want to introduce my brother, who is back home after 30-some years in Huntsville, Alabama, Melvin Lewis Mayo. I'd like to ask him to stand. He's working with me, part of M5. He was the second-string quarterback when I was the first-string quarterback. And that's fine. So I wanted to make a note of that.
Still lying. Everybody knew Bobby was better than you.
You know. Anyway, thank you for an opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about some of the priorities that we have. We've talked previously about some of the pointed items that we're working on with the city as relates to working with Mayor Olive, dealing with the National League of Cities, these Southern Strong Community Initiatives. We do have you set up to be part of a pilot program along with 15 other cities throughout the state of Louisiana, in which you have an opportunity to get some funding through the American Rescue Act of 2021, and that's going pretty well. We've gotten the priorities of the city of Bastrop, and we have submitted them. We'll be looking at getting and gathering data to be able to submit as well. The National League of Cities has a grant writer, and we also have gotten a data analyst that will be helping the city of Bastrop in addition to the other cities. And in fact, a lot of the work will be done by the city, by you as council members, and the mayor and the administration. But once everything is put together, the grant writer will actually put it together, but it will be submitted by the city of Bastrop. In addition to that, you know that the infrastructure has been voted on by the Senate, the U.S. Senate, and that will afford us another opportunity to get some funding for infrastructure. And then there will be a Family Life app that will be supported by the Congress as well. So there will be 3 different areas in which you'll have a chance to secure funding. Now that's in addition to some of the other things that we're looking at doing. We're still looking at doing a SWOT analysis for the city of Bastrop, in addition to working on so many other areas. And of course, I probably communicate with Mayor Olive practically every day about different things. So I'll just stop right there. So if you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayo.
Okay.
Okay, that brings us down to recognition of family loss for the city employees. Terry Lee's mother, Bernice Lee, Mark Moore's brother, Adam Moore, Zandria Moore, Walter, she was a former communications officer. She's the wife of Walter Moore. And we would like to commend Mr. Howard Locke for 12 years of service. You have his LMA. We'd like to commend you for 12 years of service at this time, and we will stand and have a moment of silence, after which thank you. I will entertain a motion to.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
You second.
Second. Okay.
Somebody ready to go home?
All in favor?
Aye.